Hi, hello. Welcome to another episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is July the 17th, 2024. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Today was, I don't want to say like fantastic or anything, but it was a solid day. It was a good day. I would say we humped, didn't get humped back, so that's good in this context. Let's see here. Work was like the kind of pace where it was steady. Like I didn't really get any downtime outside of like when I came in and they were like changing out the trash compactor. But it was good. It wasn't like too busy. I wasn't like overwhelmed or anything like that. So that was nice. Also, they gave out some free popcorn, so that was good. Is popcorn junk food? Because I feel like the way I eat it, it is, but I've always eaten it with like a lot of butter and salt, and sometimes with M&Ms in it. So yeah, to me, popcorn's always kind of been junk food. But that being said, I had that, and then later on today, I had like a handful of Sour Patch Kids. So I would say I've been junking. But, it is what it is. This is a fat week. I don't care. I care, but I don't care. But let's see. Let's get to the real food. The real food corner. I had pasta bolognese. It was yummy. It was good. Very classico meal for me. Yes, the bread was breading. We had the bolillo roll and the bagel. That's right. Don't come for me. With the cream cheese. Also, I don't really describe what I put on it, but I put on a good amount of stuff on the bread, right? I feel like I decorate it, season it up. But yeah, I like put like olive oil, pesto, cheese, everything, seasoning, which apparently I found out, a little bit of side news before we even get into the real news, that this has become an issue for South Koreans because they apparently Trader Joe's is like a big fucking thing. And they go and they want to like take a knickknack or thing home with them, and so they take the everything seasoning home, but that's apparently contraband because it has poppy seeds in it. So there you go, take that with you. But yeah, no, my food corner was good and it was yummy. I enjoyed it. Let's see here. Is there really anything else in the personal side of things that I wanted to get into, talk about? No, I feel like we're good. And if it strikes me, then maybe I might interrupt and get into it. Who knows? Probably not though. Let's go ahead and do the startup, and we will get into it. How does that sound? Hopefully good. Hopefully you like the sound of that. But yeah. Ooh yeah. All right. From the BBC. 50 reportedly killed in latest Israeli strikes in Gaza. At least 50 Palestinians have been killed and dozens wounded in a series of Israeli airstrikes in south and central parts of Gaza, the Hamas-run health ministry says. One of the deadliest attacks occurred in the recently designated humanitarian zone of Al-Mawasi, west of the southern city of Han Yunis. Another strike hit a UN-run school housing displaced people in Nusrat refugee camp in central Gaza. The Israeli military said both strikes had targeted members of Palestinian armed groups, and that it was looking into reports of civilian casualties, which is very familiar. We've heard this beat from them before, where they say, "Hey, we committed this atrocity," and they want to put some like quotations on it because they're looking into these civilian deaths, but they're like, "We were aiming for terrorists, and we got our guy," so like it was good. Even though some of these situations, they say, "Oh, we got our guy," and then you get into the details, the main guy that they were looking for, and they blew up a whole fucking camp over. It turns out they actually can't confirm if they've got that person or not. So, they say that they're doing this for a defense of Israel and the like, but really just what winds up happening time and time again is innocent people just die. They just get fucking erased. So obviously it's a shame to have to fucking cover this shit week in, week out. I mean, damn near day after day. And something I've mentioned before, and I will continue to mention, is just because I cover it and I say a number, that doesn't even mean that that number stays even the same, even in those contexts. Sometimes you go back and you find out, just like any kind of fucking war, just like when we were covering like a year or so ago when it came to Ukraine, where you come back and the numbers are just so much worse than initially thought and covered. A number like 25, 29 rockets up to 90 overnight because they actually find all the bodies left behind. So it is something that I'm not going to stop fucking hammering home, and I'm not going to stop fucking talking about, especially because even in these articles, I always got to keep going back to October 7th. I will not stop, because that is a technique they try to keep using to remind you, hey, don't forget who was the bad guy here, when really, once again, we can always take this shit back fucking years and years and years back on the timeline, and you can really see how that shit started. It's very fucking frustrating. But yeah, we always try to talk about this shit, trying to think what else I wanted to pull. There's a part 2, not necessarily to this story, but something I wanted to mention. I heard this today on the BBC, and it just really, it touched me. And it was one of those things where I'm happy that, at least in my social circle, I do see other people talking about this shit. It's important to me. I know I have also other people who aren't talking about this shit at all. And I also have fears that there are people who are maybe on the Zionist side of the conversation. You never fucking know. But, I felt the need to at least touch on this, do my best. From the BBC, Gaza man with Down syndrome attacked by IDF dog and left to die. Mother tells BBC. Mohammed Bar was 24 and had Down syndrome and autism. His mother, Nabila Bar, 70, told the BBC, "He didn't know how to eat, drink, or change his clothes. I'm the one who changed his nappies. I'm the one who fed him. He didn't know how to do anything by himself." She goes into talking about how, on the 27th of June, the IDF comes back into the neighborhood, and, of course, the shelling starts. There are soldiers everywhere. Let me read another quote here. "We evacuated around 15 times. We would go to Jabil's place, but then there would be bombing at Jabil's place. We would go to Haidar Square, but then there would be bombing at Haidar Square. We would go to Rimal, but then there would be a bombing at Rimal. We would go to Shawa Square, but there would be bombing at Shawa Square." Which, this is sadly, just a very just classic tone that you just keep hearing, is that people moving so many times to the point where it's just like, we don't have anywhere to go. There's nowhere to go. And what's the point? We are just going to have to move again. There's nowhere that is safe. Let's see. The fighting intensified around the streets around them. They would hide in different parts of the house, often in the bathroom when shooting became especially intense. For Muhammad, war meant loud, violent sounds, the air vibrating with the concussion from cells exploding nearby. None of this could be explained to him. He would go into a panic and say, I'm scared, Nabila remembers. He would say, hey, thinking that someone wanted to hit him. He was always scared, fearful. We would come around him, comfort him. He didn't understand much. His autism made it very difficult. So, once again, as a family, as all families are trying to do in these kind of situations, they would huddle up. They would do the best they can to just get through these kind of moments where it's just like, this could be our last moment. We don't know. But we also know that, we have a family member that this is completely over, their capacity to handle, and we got to rally to make this happen. And make this, just get through. But on July 3rd, according to the family, the IDF raided their home on Nazaz Street. Nabila says there were several dozen soldiers with a combat dog, animals used to find Hamas fighters and check for booby traps and explosives. At first, she heard them breaking in and smashing everything before the soldiers and the dog arrived in the room. Referring to Muhammad, she says, I told them he's disabled. Have mercy on him. He's disabled. Keep the dog away from him. Nabila saw the animal attack Muhammad. The dog attacked him, biting his chest and his hand. Muhammad didn't speak, only muttering, no, no, no. The dog bit his arm and the blood was shed. I wanted to get to him, but I couldn't. No one could get to him. And he was patting the dog, saying, enough, my sweet dear. Enough, my dear. Enough. In the end, he relaxed his hand, and the dog tearing at him while he was bleeding. So, to kind of just get through this, they take him to another room, the IDF soldiers. They more or less, what we come to find out, just give him some gauze, and then they say, hey, we're going to get, like, a doctor in here. So at some point, maybe they get the doctor in there, and he gives them the gauze. There's no real treatment outside of that. They're asking the whole time while they're separated from Mohammed, like, is he okay? Like, can we get to... No, they don't give him any answers. At some point before they keep guns in their faces, and then they tell them, you guys have to leave. And they're like, what about Muhammad? And a soldier tells him he's gone. And they don't say anything else. They finally get a chance to come back, and they find Muhammad dead. So, I tell this fucking story because this is supposed to be the most ethical, most moral fucking army in the fucking world, according to them, according to Israel. But this is the shit that goes on under their watch, under their fucking occupation. So, yeah, these are stories that are important, and I'm not going to stop talking about them. I don't care if that makes fucking people mad. Anyway, let's move on, though, to the next beat. There's some other things that I wanted to cover. From Al Jazeera. At least 6 people, or at least 6 killed in Bangladesh student anti-quota protests. At least 6 people have been killed in Bangladesh as young government supporters and police firing tear gas clashed with students protesting against a quota system for coveted government jobs, police say. Tens of thousands of students joined nationwide protests for a second day after more than 100 people were injured on Monday in rallies that blocked major highways and railings. They are the first significant protests against Prime Minister Hasina's government since she won a 4th straight term in January. The demonstrators are protesting against a 30% public sector job quota for family members, veterans who fought in the 1971 War of Independence, as young people face high unemployment. So apparently, like, government jobs are, like, very coveted, and more or less the populace, like the general populace, is kind of sequestered away from them. They don't have access to these jobs because they're promised to veterans. So you can kind of get how that's like, okay, I mean, that sounds good, right? But if you're just an average young person, it's like, you're just saying, hey, it doesn't matter how hard you work, you don't get access to this job. Sorry. You just got to go into the private sector and make it how you can. When it's like, but this is a perfectly good government job. And essentially how you might be looking at it is like, you're giving this to your supporters. You're not even giving this to, like, veterans who fought in the war, per se. This is more for just to make people who got you or keeping you in power happy. That's what you're doing here. So that's what had people out on the streets. Naturally, when you have the situation where you come out and you're doing a peaceful protest and then you're greeted with violence, I know people think that it's like, oh, okay, well, we're just going to give up and we're just going to not do it. No, that emboldens people to be like, no, we have to keep fighting, because now we really see what's on the line here. Our lives are really on the line here. Like, we have to keep fighting. Like, more times than not, I feel like it doesn't actually suppress people. Like, yes, people are scared, of fucking course, but they also know it's like, well, damn, like, if this is my life, then I might as well put it all on the line here. I might as well fucking come back out tomorrow. I mean, I feel like we're literally seeing that in Kenya. I feel like I cover this shit time and time again. And I'm sure that I will, in the future. Not that, obviously it sucks to have to cover this shit and you hear people literally doing the right thing, talking about nonviolent fucking protest, and what's meted out against them is literally fucking oppression by their own fucking, like, government. That shit fucking sucks to cover and talk about. But I will say, something I've kind of noticed, especially as of late, and I'm sure this isn't like a new thing, it's just like, it's cool to see the youth doing this and organizing in this kind of way where, like, there's not a set leader, there's not a set organization really rallying this. It is people saying, hey, we've had enough of this and we're going to organize, but we're not going to be organized in a way that you can actually attack the center or corrupt the center even, like, we're just going to just be out here, and we're gonna keep being out here until you fucking change. So I really respect that shit, and at least happy to see that. I love quotes like this. We had to use rubber bullets and tear gas to disperse the unruly students who were hurling stones at us. So I guess it's like, hey, in some of these isolated situations, they're like, hey, look at this is actual violence. So we had to respond in kind with tear gas and rubber bullets. Hey, let's see. We heard a protesting student died after he was taken to a hospital. It was not immediately clear how he died. And this was from Rangapur Metropolitan Police Commissioner Mohammed Mani Ruzaman. Hopefully, I pronounced that as pretty well. Probably didn't. I did want to get to this quote though, because I feel like this added even more to the unrest. I'm sure I'm gonna miss it. Here we go. The prime minister also referred to those opposing. Oh, an ad bumped me. The prime minister also referred to those opposing the quotas as Razakar, a term used for those who allegedly collaborated with the Pakistani army during the 1971 war, which is something that has caused even more backlash for Hasina because now people have come out and said, okay, not only are we mad about what you guys are doing to us for protesting and coming out and saying this is wrong, but now you guys are calling us traitors to the nation. Like, that's essentially what this term means in this kind of connotation. Like, because we are saying you're wrong and like we deserve a slice of this pie because we work hard for it. Like, you know what I mean? I can understand how that's something that it's like, no, now that's on a list of demands. You have to apologize for that shit. So yeah, hopefully she does, because I can understand how that is very disrespectful, how that's very fucking upsetting. Even though I will add, in my American dumbass brain, Razakar sounds fucking hard. It sounds kind of cool, like Razakar. But then again, I remember, was it the Razakhan? That's a whole other fucking thing. But that's not cool. That's corny and lame. So, you know, maybe that's kind of like that. And in that case, I would take it as like a slur. Don't call me that. Anyway. Was there anything else I really wanted to pull from here? Nope. It looks like we're at the end of the road for this, but I will definitely keep you posted on anything else I see coming out of Bangladesh. I was about to get this fucked up because the transition is in Bangkok. From the Associated Press. 6 Vietnamese and American guests found dead in a hotel room in Bangkok with poisoning a possibility. Poisoning. Poison. 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 Okay, I'm sorry. I'll stop. The bodies of 6 people were found Tuesday in a luxury hotel in downtown Bangkok, and their deaths may have been caused by poisoning, police and officials said. Bangkok Police Chief General T.T. Sangsawang identified the dead as 2 Vietnamese Americans and 4 Vietnamese nationals, and said there were 3 males and 3 females. Investigators said the bodies were foaming at the mouth. An officer from the Lumpini police station said on condition of anonymity because he wasn't authorized to release the information. The victims had booked several rooms at the Grand Hyatt Erawan Hotel under 7 names, and some were staying on a different floor from the room where they were found dead, TT said. Police also are still looking for a 7th person, including in the booking, TT said at a news conference at the hotel. I also read at the article that one of the people in the group wasn't from the hotel, if I'm not mistaken. Also, something that I hadn't seen in any of the articles, but I picked up from listening, is that so far the running theory is that, okay, we have these 6 people, they were all in a room, and they ordered room service. So, okay, all right. None of the food was eaten, but the drinks were consumed. The tea was consumed. So it's believed that the tea was poisoned. It's also believed, once again, this is just the running rumor I heard from when I listened to this on the BBC, that one of the people who died in the poisoning was the poisoner. So that's a plot twist. I know we kind of just smash cut right to that. But that is crazy if that's the case. Also, I mean, there's still a loose thread if there's a person who is a part of this group but then it wasn't in the room, like there's a 7th missing guy or whatever, if I'm getting that correct. I don't know. But there's definitely some more here. So this was a very interesting kind of true crimey, you know, I don't know, it felt like a novella story or some shit. So I was like, I have to talk about this. It's also crazy too. I love a little coincidence. We had the 6 killed in the Bangladesh student quota thing. And then there's the serendipity of then finding another story where 6 people had died. So there's that. Obviously, RIP, condolences. But, you know, and I don't mean coincidence, like conspiracy. I just mean, like, cosmic coincidence. Like, that shit's always like, oh, wow, it's weird when you see that, right? And then I guess another coincidence is we're not done talking about poison, actually. Poison. I felt like it's fair. This is a whole other thing. I can double tap it. Anyway, it's another poison story, and this is also fucked up. Let's see here. From ABC News, neo-Nazi planned poisoned candy attack on Jewish children in Brooklyn. Federal prosecutors say. So yeah, this is unfortunate. This piece of shit. A Georgian national has been indicted for allegedly planning a mass casualty attack on Jews and racial minorities in New York City, as well as encouraging others to commit similar violent acts. Michal Chichivili, I'm going to say Chichivili, because it just sounds fun to say it like that. Chichivili, who calls himself Commander Butcher, is leader of a violent white supremacist group known as the Maniac Murder Cult, according to federal prosecutors. Chichivili, 20, is accused of hatching a plot that involved dressing up as Santa Claus and handing out poison-laced candy to children at Jewish schools in Brooklyn, as well as to racial minorities. He was arrested on the 6th of July in Moldova and has been charged with soliciting hate crimes and acts of mass violence. Since September of 2021, according to a federal indictment, Tsitsivili distributed a manifesto called The Hater's Handbook, which, pause, I gotta say, The Hater's Handbook, that does intrigue me until I open it up and it's a bunch of anti-Semitic racist bullshit. And I'm like, oh, bro, come on, bro. This had the opportunity to be so fucking funny. Like, if it was like just Cat Williams just talking a bunch of fucking shit, dude, or something like that, that would be so fun. That would have been so good. Hater's Handbook is such a good name until like it's actually filled with just dumb drivel like this. But yeah, he stated that he has murdered for the white race and has encouraged readers to commit violent mass terror attacks to promote ethnic cleansing, particularly within the U.S. The handbook allegedly suggested readers commit school shootings and suicide bombings and recommended targeting large outdoor festivals, conventions, celebrations, and parades, and pedestrian congested streets. So just a bunch of fucking bullshit. Just like, bro, what are you trying to write about this shit? Like, no, bro. And I guess he had the idea in his head that this was like, he was going to be the new Anders Breivik. Like, he was going to do another mass, like, killing on the levels that was going to be even bigger than that. And it's like, I don't know, man. In my head, this seems really fucking lame. It seems like some fucking, like, dumb Gotham City-ass fucking idea that you're trying to come up with. Like, you're trying to be the Joker. And then this kind of hits me, too, because he winds up kind of getting caught because, like, an FBI guy, of course there's always an undercover guy involved, and he proposes as, like, a prospective member, and, like, apparently, Chichivili, asked for people for a brutal beating, arson, explosion, or murder vid on camera. And he adds that, poisoning and arson are the best options for murder. It's just like, the more I feel like I hear this guy talk, the more this sounds like a guy who hasn't actually done a thing and is just like a Sid the Kid freak who just wants to watch shit like burn. Like, he's just in Joker mode all the time, bro. But like, I don't think he actually has the gumption. And then you're reminded that he's a 20-year-old, and like, yeah, he went to go like see his grandma in Brooklyn, and he's like, yeah, while I was there, I did mass atrocities. I don't know, I have no Georgian accent on my belt buckle, sorry, but like, he's like, yeah, I do all the kind of atrocities, I do all the racial hate crimes, so much murder. And it's like, I kind of doubt it, bro. I don't think you're the type. I think you'd see my black ass and just be mad, you know, and you'll go home and on Reddit and like, oh, I saw this N-word. I just don't think he's real. I mean, hey, if he actually shows some receipts, you know, okay, put it on the table, big man, Mr. Big Terrorist, go for it, show us. But I don't think he has anything. I think he likes to have at least a crew of people in his little murder cult, and then he can actually feel validated and vindicated, like he's doing the white race a favor. Anyway, enough of this Joker, enough of this fucking yoker. I just felt like, hey, you know, it's a neo-Nazi. We gotta talk about this stupid fucking lame ass. But yeah, the Breivik thing, that's a Norway thing. I'm kind of talking like, hey, you totally know Anders Breivik. But, yeah, he was a piece of shit and killed like 77 people and in a bombing and mass shooting in Norway in 2011. Hey, but yeah, Chichi really. Hope you rot, bro. Anyway, we have one more thing I wanted to cover. In some ways, it's light news. It's light news to me. To me, I think this is one of those situations where it's a shame to see a joke kind of get out of hand. You know, at least in the minds of some people who are, you know, I don't know, weird with their morals. But let me go ahead and take my last break. Sorry, escaped me for a second there. And we'll go ahead and close it out. Man. All right, we're going to get real tenacious. Ooh. Shout out to the Rolling Stone for not paywalling me on this article. Wow, you're a real one for that. Tenacious D's Kyle Gass dropped by agent after controversial Trump joke. Tenacious D's Kyle Gass has been dropped by his talent agent Michael Green of Green Talent following his joke about the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Rolling Stone can confirm. We have parted ways after what happened in Sydney, in reference to Sydney, Australia, show that they did. Green said in an email when contacted by Rolling Stone, "Thank you. The decision came after Gass's longtime friend and Tenacious D bandmate Jack Black announced that the band would cancel all of its remaining tour dates and pause future creative plans. A rep for Gass's management and publicist did not immediately reply to requests for comment." So let's get into this big salacious thing that happened. The incident occurred during the comedy duo's recent performance in Sydney, Australia, during which Gass made a birthday wish on stage. "Don't miss Trump next time." While video showed attendees responding with laughter, the comment garnered the attention of right-wing politicians in Australia who proceeded to call for Tenacious D's deportation. That's fucking Australian cuck behavior. Boo to them for that. But also, I gotta actually, I hate to do this, man. I hate to do this. Sometimes it be your own folk, but I gotta send Jack Black to Tomato Town. We gotta send him to the gulag for this one. Black, in his statement, said, "I was blindsided by what was said at the show on Sunday. I would never condone hate speech or encourage political violence in any form. After much reflection, I no longer feel it is appropriate to continue the Tenacious D tour, and all future creative plans are on hold. I am grateful to the fans for their support and understanding." Bro, the world tour, bro. Like, the tour, the whole world tour, bro. That's crazy you did that, bro. I think that's fucked up. Over a fucking joke. Like, and I'm sorry. Like, I get it. I see the motherfuckers on Facebook, and they're like, if you think the death of anyone is funny, then I got news for you. You should just unfollow me. Unfriend me. Dude, fine. Like, I'm sorry. It's just, look, I get it. You have a very tightly wound sense of morals, and you believe that there's good in all people. You're a real Steven Universe character. That's good for you. That's great. That's awesome. But, like, you know how I felt when, what was it, Inglourious Bastards, where Quentin Tarantino breaks history so that you can see Hitler get Swiss cheesed? That shit was awesome. I clapped in the theater. Okay, I'm one of those guys. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But I'm not. I just don't. My morals, my compass doesn't spin when I do that. I'm sorry. If Trump would have died, it would have been like, okay for me. You know? So yeah, I think the joke is okay. But that's me. That's my taste. You know, everybody's different, I guess. And if it offends you, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I guess I should ask, though, too, that Gass even added an apology. Like, in his, let's see, his own words. The line I improvised on stage Sunday night in Sydney was highly inappropriate, dangerous, and a terrible mistake. I don't condone violence of any kind in any form against anyone, or against anymore. That says anymore. What happened was a tragedy, and I'm incredibly sorry for my severe lack of judgment. I profoundly apologize to those I've let down and truly regret and pain I've caused. Okay, maybe he just wrote this up, and sometimes you can't edit or whatever. I mean, these were guys who like made a song about like they went down to like the Georgia song, and they fucking rock. I don't know. They did a riff on that. This is literally guys who do fucking joke rock. And once again, this is School of Rock Jack Black saying like, man, like, I don't condone this kind of thing, okay? Like, all right, dude, I get it. You got to protect the Bowser money, protect the bag. But even once again, Gas apologized for this shit. He took it too far, he was a little too edgy. It's crazy to see people who are on like the right who believe comedy is dead, and the next thing you know, you make a joke about someone they like that they want to suck off. They go into attack mode, and then they're like, whoa, too far, Mr. Terrorist Comedy Man. But yeah, I mean, hey, points for Gas. I get it. You got to say sorry sometimes. You know what I mean? Mea culpa. I got those in my back pocket too. I understand. And boo to Jack Black. Tomatoes for you on that, dude. At the same time, I mean, I still like School of Rock. It's still cool. I'm sure I'll get over it. Shit, I'm listening to Dan Carlin now, and he literally said some fucked up shit last year. These things happen. So sometimes you realize that your goats are just not goated. Sometimes. Damn, that's real. Put that on a t-shirt. Okay, I'm done. I'm cooked. My brain's fried. Man, I went over 30. That's my bad. I'm sorry. See, I'm sorry. per my YouTube, I'm sorry. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a patreon.com/Isaiah News. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to just hit me up and tell me how I'm doing. Tell me how much I suck. Sometimes people do that, but they usually do it in YouTube comments. Which, hey, go off. You do it there. If you want to be the Australian politician and tell me that I should be deported from the place that I was born, awesome. Do that. I'd love that. I'd love to hear that. Actually, don't do that. Just say it was a fun episode. Just say you had fun. But yeah, leave a cool comment, leave a like, subscribe to the YouTube. I'm trying to get those numbers up so I can get some money, some shmoney. Do it. That's it. That's all I have. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.